Hello everyone! Welcome to another episode of Wine and Wedding Tips. My name is Cassidy with Vibe Garden Images. Today we are tackling the beast that is a wedding budget. How to make one, how to stick with one, and how to cut costs along the way. Before we begin the video, I do have to give a huge shout out to Miss Angela from Pineapples and Parties in Perrysburg, Ohio. She has helped compile all of this information through her years of wedding and event coordination experience. So thank you so much, Angela. Make sure you go check her out. I also have to shout out Wedding Wire for their 2020 Newlywed Report that gave me a lot of the figures and facts we'll be talking about today. So huge shout out to those two sources. Let's get into the video. Setting a budget is going to be one of the most important things that you do before you start planning your wedding. Over 80% of couples set a budget before doing any research on particular vendors so they can make sure that their costs stay manageable and controlled. The average wedding cost in 2019 was $28,000, which is actually down from recent years. However, you do not have to spend that much money, or you can spend more money than that. It is completely dependent on you, how much money you have to spend, and what is important to you. The first thing you need to do is sit down with your fiance and talk about how much money realistically you can give to this wedding. Include your savings and also think about the time between now and the wedding and how much more you can save in that period. And also remember, the longer your engagement, the more time you'll have to save up money for your wedding. Are any of your family's parents or grandparents contributing to the wedding? So on average, couples pay for about 47% of the wedding themselves. They get 52% of the wedding funds from their parents and 1% from other sources. Once you write down the numbers of how much you're putting towards it and how much other contributors are, there you go, you've got your budget. The next thing you need to do is discuss what are the most important aspects of the wedding day to you. Is the photography or videography super important to you? Do you have a dream venue that you've always wanted to use? Are fresh flowers an absolute must? Was there a bridal shop that you've always dreamed of getting your dress from? List out the things that are important to you, from most importance at the top to the things that you don't really care about at the bottom of the list. You want to make sure that the things you put at the top of the list are the things you spend the most money on, and the things that you put at the bottom are the things you spend the least amount of money on. So make sure you know what is most important to you and allow the biggest numbers or wiggle room to those aspects. Venue, catering, desserts, bar, and rentals tend to take up about 50% of your overall wedding budget, with the rest going towards photography, video, attire, florals, DJ, officiant, stationery, transportation, and hair and makeup artists, and then favors if you want to do that as well. Make sure not to forget details like tips, postage, and trials. It doesn't have to be anything like what I just said to you, and that's where listing your priorities really comes in handy. If photo and video is the most important to you and your venue is of less importance, why not get married in a family member's backyard or use a cheap and easy metro park and then allocate the rest of that budget towards photo and video? You can also find venues that do all-inclusive packages as well, and that tends to cut costs and stress on you because then instead of dealing with 7 different vendors, you only have to work with the one. Please do not sacrifice on the things that are important to you. Look at me. It's a ton of money. Yes, it's a lot of money, but it's a once-in-a-lifetime day, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and if you want something, you should have it. Don't allow friends and family to influence your decisions too much. Yes, you love them and you want to consider their opinions, but at the end of the day, it is your wedding. It's not theirs. If you really, really want something, don't let them discourage you. A lot of couples can be influenced by family members and then end up spending a lot of money on something that was at the bottom of their priority list. And this is another good reason to hire a wedding planner, because they can be that middleman between you and someone that loves you but has a lot of opinions that you might necessarily not want to incorporate in your day. It's really important to have a miscellaneous category as well. With planning an event as big as a wedding, there's so many moving parts. Something is bound to pop up that you didn't plan for. So the Knot actually suggests saving 5% of your total wedding budget in a just-in-case fund that can cover any unexpected expenses. So once you set your numbers, congratulations, you've got your wedding budget, and now it's time to stick to it. So having a bank account that is specifically for wedding purchases can help you keep track of how much of your budget you used and of all the things that you've bought so far. If your venue ends up costing $2,000 less than what you planned for, awesome! Now you have $2,000 extra dollars to allocate somewhere else in the budget. And remember too, just because you allocate a certain amount of money doesn't necessarily mean you're obligated to use all of that. Budgets can be stretched pretty far if you're savvy, but you also have to remind yourself to be realistic about what you can do with the money that you have. If your budget is on the lower end for your area, you probably can't get married at the fanciest venue in town or have a guest list that's 300 plus. It's also really important to give yourself some wiggle room within your budget too. The last thing you want to do is put yourself in a bad situation financially right before starting your lives together because you spent too much money on your wedding. It's going to be beautiful and amazing no matter if you spend $100 or $100,000. And doing unique and special things at your wedding is going to be so much more memorable for your guests than how much money you spent on dinner or if you served top shelf alcohol or not. Unfortunately, it's also realistic to plan to outspend your budget a little bit. Wedding Wire said that 60% of couples in 2019 ended up adding money onto their budget, either because they fell in love with something that they absolutely had to have, or because they just underestimated the cost of a wedding beforehand. So that is all of the tips and tricks I have for you in terms of setting your budget and sticking with it. Now we're going to talk about some money-saving tips to get the best bang for your buck. Number 1, hire a wedding planner. And I know it sounds counterintuitive. Cassidy, we're talking about saving money. However, when you hire a wedding planner, you know you will be in good hands. They can use their expertise to help you set a budget and stick to it, and they can tell you if your vision is realistically pulled off with the budget that you have. They also have a huge arsenal of wedding vendors, so they can make sure to match exactly what you're going for with the budget that you have. You are a lot more likely to stay on budget if you have a wedding planner. They can help you cut costs in places you otherwise might not have thought of and allow more spending in the places that you really care about. When you hire a full-service wedding planner, like Angela from Pineapples and Parties, she actually has a library of rental decor that you can rent from her, cutting out one more vendor that you have to work with. She'll be able to set it up and tear it down. And a lot of full-service planners, like Angela, also do florals as well. So you can get florals at a discounted rate too, and then you're only working with one vendor, and you can get discounts for booking all of those services with a full-service planner too. It also means that that's less vendors you have to worry about contracts, tipping, or not showing up. Number 2, have a backyard wedding. I know I mentioned this before, but backyard weddings, super cheap, right? You usually don't have to spend any money to rent them, and it can really personalize your day too. Just don't forget you need to rent chairs, tables, linens, and that stuff. 3, consider having an off-peak season or a non-Saturday wedding. Some venues will give huge discounts to people who book during the non-peak seasons like winter. If you do want a peak season like fall, consider doing a Friday or a Sunday wedding. Maybe do brunch in a mimosa bar afterwards instead of the typical meat and potatoes Saturday night wedding. It can create a really fun and unique experience that's different and save you money along the way. Make sure you do your research though, because not all venues have those kind of discounts, so you want to make sure before you make a decision like that the venue you're looking at does. Number 4, have one of your friends officiate for you. Now, I always love it when people do this anyway, because I think having somebody who really knows you and your relationship and can make your ceremony more personal is always the best route. But it's also free to get ordained as a minister online, and then just $10 to get certified from the Ohio Secretary of State. to officiate a wedding. So you can hire one that doesn't know you for $500 or have one of your loved ones do it for $10. Number 5, rent a wedding dress or buy it used. I mean, why not? You're only gonna wear it for one day. Do you really want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on it? Number 6, keep your guest list small. Do you really need to invite that person? Number 7, use minimal flowers. Yes, everybody loves flowers and they're gorgeous, but they're also expensive and they also die that day. So what you can do is potentially get fake flowers instead that you can repurpose as home decor, or just have your bridesmaids walk down the aisle with a single rose. Number 8, are you savvy with design? Why not design your own stationery set? Make sure you use the same style, fonts, and colors, or if you're not into design, weddingchicks.com has an amazing digital, customizable, free template that you can use to make your menu, your place setter cards, your invite, save the dates, and so much more, and it is absolutely free. Number 9, go digital. Why not email your save the dates and invites? People don't absolutely need to get it in the mail. Also, instead of printing out several program cards, why not just have one big sign where everybody can see it? Number 10, keep your table setup simple. Honestly, having a lot of stuff on the table can make it hard for guests to converse and eat, so just keep it simple. Number 11, find decor on wedding resale Facebook groups and events. And then after your wedding, you can resell them in those same groups or at the events. I know of at least 2 wedding resale groups in Northwest Ohio alone, so definitely do your research. They're out there to find. Number 12, find a venue that will allow you to bring in your own alcohol. That can save you hundreds. That's it. That is all of my advice about finding a budget, sticking to it, and saving money along the way. I guess I do have one more, and that is don't stress. Number 13, don't stress. Talking about money and thinking about all of that stuff can bring in so many ill feelings and anxiety, and when that starts to come up, just remind yourself as often as you have to that you are getting married to the love of your life. You are starting a life and a family with this person, and that is all that matters at the end of the day. So don't let money stress get to you too much. Remember to enjoy the planning process and everything will be perfect. Thank you so much for watching Wine and Wedding Tips. I love being here for you, and I would love to be here for you as much as I can. So if you have any questions or want to see more wedding tips, please comment down below what you would like to see. If you don't follow us on social media, check out our Instagram and Facebook. And if you love seeing these wedding tips every week, make sure you go and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss another upload. Thank you so much for watching. Happy wedding planning.